Hi guys, Tuva here. Welcome to the next video in the series of the runes. This one is Manaz, rune of mankind, which can mean all sorts of things, but mainly means mental and physical and spiritual. Mankind themselves, what they portray, mental agility, having the divine within, or learning about it, and awareness, but also the other side of things, which is the basic of being alive, the body, mundane, everyday stuff. So mankind in whole, and that is what Manaz means. Sacred to Odin, and it is similar to Rune and Gebo, because the three of them are all related to Odin in a big way, spiritually, that is. Now Odin has his ravens on each shoulder, and they are actually called thought and memory, Hugin and Muni. So we can see even Odin knew that he needed these things, and they would go out and come back and give him wisdom and knowledge, and that is brilliant. That is what we need, and he knew that, and so he is really attached to that particular rune. It's very similar to the last rune we did, but it's more centered on human beings in whole. You see, humans tend to forget their spiritual side. As we came away from the days when everything was spiritual, accepting the teachings of the gods, accepting what we were told by the seers, we then came away from that when we started to learn how to do more things. And now we are at the point in history where we make more technology, and the more technology we make, the worse it becomes spiritually. You need both sides to make a whole. You can't have a person without their shadow. And so, Manaz is very important. You see, the mundane brings us things that we like. People like money. They like gadgets. They like to live their life without being told what to do. The mundane is great for the people of today. The youngsters growing up don't know any different. But we left behind so much knowledge that we have forgotten that we need to become whole, to have just one foot in the mundane world. As a true soul embodied person, you need to have the spiritual to make us complete, and that is what we're lacking. Sometimes that can be a painful experience for some, to find out who they really are, and that we can use Manaz for. I'm going to show you Manaz, and it is an M with a little bit in the middle, if you can see. Yeah. This particular rune depends on our intelligence to understand what it is we're trying to actually manage. So, as mankind, we need to find out who we are, what we need to survive, and to walk forwards in that on our pathway. The other point I wanted to make, and this is also relevant towards Odin, and that is that Manaz also means the spark of life, what Odin received to give that energy for the living. And so Odin can relate together the spark of life, the spark of understanding, the wisdom, the beginning of things. Correspondences now, guys. Right, so the animal, either an eagle or a raven, earth and air. Strange because it's got two, but that's fine. Earth and air are lovely elements anyway. All the elements are good, but air is knowledge, you see, and earth is stability. So you've got the two there. You've got your spirituality with air, and you've got your mundane with earth. The colours are red, orange and blue. Nice colours. I always love orange and red together. So as you can see on here, I have red in the altar cloth, and it is unusual. I wanted squares, and the squares depict to me like the mundane. It's the everyday life that we live. I also have a statue of Odin on here, and the water of life, and the flames. So you've got all the elements here as well, which is a good thing. I have blue in the flowers, depicting the colours. Plants, you can use ash and elm. There are others attached to it, but I like ash and I like elm. The incense, clover. Clover, it hasn't got much of a fragrance to it unless you get right close, but it's still very good. The stone is a garnet. In fact, the garnet is my birth sign, which is wonderful, which means it's around springtime, which is also cool. So yeah, that's around May. So we've got Beltane, we've got the coming together of the physical and the spiritual for the man. In traditional witchcraft, the god is the earth and the female is the spiritual. So you have the two coming together there. Now the body part, feet and the ankles, because the ankles move around, so you can move direction, and the feet walk you down a path, walk you to where you need to go. So that's very apt, I also think. Odin and Frigga, because they are the sovereigns of Asgard. So, pretty cool. But also, they know what goes on the earth, they know about the humans, they know what we do to survive, they know spiritually what we're up to. Now, in the Poetic Edda, when we look at the stories in there, there was a god called Heimdall. Now, he came to earth disguised as a king. So he was sitting upon a throne, but he didn't just sit there and watch everything. He actually brought order, spiritual order and mundane order to Midgard and all its residents. And that is our first spiritual king. So we have Odin and Frigga in Asgard, and we have Heimdall on Midgard. We can see the relevance there, the need to bring them both together, that mankind needs to be whole, and as such it's a very good rune in a reading, because it will explain to you what you need to know to progress forwards. If you get it and you are having problems in your spiritual life, you know it's telling you that you need to get that bit balanced with the other part so that you can become whole. It's good because it can work both ways. It can also say, like, you know, you're being too spiritual and you need to get a bit of mundane into your life. You need to live. It's also the 20th rune, so we're getting through them all, guys, now. I like Manaz. I don't think of it as a detrimental, dark rune. Some people do, but I think it's very beneficial for us to take stock of ourselves and to see how we can make things much better for ourselves. Yeah. So if you're ready, guys, get yourself comfortable, wear something comfortable and have a glass of water. Have a sip of it before you start, because that can help as well. So take your seats, guys, and I'm just going to do a little bit of drumming to get us into the frame of mind, because I always do. Get yourself in the nice frame of mind that you're going to spend time with this rune, Manaz. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold, and then out through the mouth. yourself relaxing. Let your shoulders relax. And then think about nothing. Try to blank your mind and see your body relax. Relax. And your jaw. Let all these parts of your body relax. Let your head drop if it makes you feel more relaxed, and keep your eyes closed. Now you open your inner eye and you see darkness all around. And you've been here before and you are not scared, for it is not a frightening darkness. It is in fact Inongagap, the time before time, the void before existence. But in the distance to the left you can see a white spark. This is the pillar of ice. And to the right we see a golden light, pillar of fire, that will both come together eventually to create everything. But we're not interested in that today. We stand there looking into the darkness, and ahead we see a bright light, very blue in colour, coming towards you at a fast pace. And we know it's Manaz, but we need to call out. You look up and it is there before you, shining bright, the symbol for Manaz. You look at it and it is the size of a normal doorway. You feel like you need to walk forwards, and you do, and you find yourself in the world of the runes, in the world of Manaz. When you look around, you find stones. You feel like you're on the top of the world. You can't see anything other than stones and clouds. And you think to yourself, why am I here, barefooted on these stones? They feel cold to the touch of your foot, but you can feel the grass growing beneath and around them, and you touch them with your toes and it tickles and you like it, and you think, hey, this is nice. While you're doing this, you don't realise it, but a big mirror appears in front of you like a dress. You start to peer into it because it's very cloudy and you can't see anything in it. But as it starts to clear, you can see people appearing in all types of nations. It's like you can see the whole world in the mirror. There are people that are doing mundane things, but there's also people that are doing spiritual things, and you're in awe because you are watching all these people busy as anything, just getting on with what they need to do. But it's a jumble and it's a mess, and you feel uncomfortable watching these people that they're like ants running round mindlessly. Even though the priest is doing spiritual, he's also thinking, I've got to get a sermon wrote, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And that is not how we should be. You look at it for a while and you think, why am I seeing all this? You hear a noise behind you and you turn around, and in front of you is a throne, a big red throne, like somebody has just placed it in front of you. And you look at it and you think, is that for me to sit upon? So you go over to it and you think, should I do this? And you sit on it. And then all of a sudden, a raven flies over your head and sits upon your shoulder. You look at it and it looks at you. And you realise it's not just any raven. It is Odin's raven, one of them. Because another one then follows and comes on your other shoulder, and you are sitting there with these two ravens looking at you, both in the face, and you think, I'm a bit concerned because I'm not sure if they are Odin's ravens or whether they're just normal ravens, and I'm a little bit worried. But you needn't be, because they fly off your shoulders and then Odin appears in his greatness. You get off the throne because you feel a bit silly sitting there, and you stand before him and you say, oh Odin, great Odin, Father Odin, oh how to you, I'm so pleased that you're here. I don't understand what is actually going on. And he says, oh my child, it is so evident what is going on, that people have to find themselves and they can't do it because they've lost the spark. They've lost everything that they had once. And I want to show you what they need. Do you not realise that these people, even though they walk in multitudes, they walk alone. They're born alone. They walk alone and they die alone. And so the reason for this is because they hold who they really are inside and never let anybody see who they really are. For we can only walk the path alone. We can only allow ourselves to be who we are alone. For we are worried that whoever would see our true self would not like it. And so we hide it. And so Odin comes to bring the message of wisdom, to show you that the true seeker, the true follower, the true person with the spirituality has found themselves, has portrayed it outwardly and not hidden themselves, for they have nothing to be ashamed of. The path of the wise, the walk of wisdom. So we can see people may live in multitudes, they may have big families, they may live together, work together, enjoy life together, but they can never be fully true to each other, for they are worried about who they really are. And a lot of them don't even know who they are within, for they've never tried to find out. My child, do you not realise that these people are at war with themselves? For they are fighting against the mundane and the spiritual all the time. They cannot tell those around them their spiritual side, and they can't tell their spiritual people about their normal side, and they are almost bound in chains. It is severe, it is harsh, but they are doing it to themselves, and only they can let themselves out of their prisons. Because like everything, when we do open up and become who we are, It's not as fearful as what we once thought. Do you not remember when you came out of the cupboard and told people who you was? Was it not a relief? Was it not good? Did it not free you? And yes, I nod to Odin and say, it was wonderful, and I don't know why it took me so long. Odin tells you, he may be the spark of life, he may be the giver of breath, but he cannot tell people how to live while they're here. And so it is up to us as human beings to stop causing our own pain and stop being at war with ourselves. And when we can do that, Odin says, we will be free. We will be like gods and goddesses, and we will fly in the sky of hope and dreams, and our joy of our pathway will be honourable and joyful, because we will not be afeard of what people think. And that is what Odin wants us to know. He asks me, how do you feel? I said, I feel free. I feel happy and open, and I haven't got to be anything other than who I really am. And he said, that's what you and everybody in Midgard needs to be able to do. But sadly, a lot of them won't, and they will be born alone. They will live alone, and they will die alone. We cannot tell them how to live. We can only give them ideas. We can only support them. It's up to them at the end of the day. And with that, Odin bids us farewell and says, try to hang on to that feeling, and if doubt creeps in, push it away with all your power and your might, for you are a child of the gods. You are ones that know the truth and can walk the path. And with that, he's gone. We turn round, and there is Manaz, standing like a doorway that is gleaming brighter than it seemed to be before when we came through. And I think it's because we feel open and happy and enlightened. And with that, we walk through the door and we find ourselves back where we was to start with. And in your own time, guys, open your eyes, wriggle your fingers and your toes, take some breaths, and then go and eat and drink something. You need to ground. I hope you're all well. I hope things are great for you at the moment. And if they're not, remember, all things end eventually, and we do have the power to get through. And if anybody wants to leave a comment below and ask me anything, please do. I will always get back to you. And so, wherever you are, whatever time of day, night or evening it may be, I wish you the best ever. House of Belang.